Community colleges fit into the higher education landscape in crucial ways.
About 40% of undergraduate students attend community colleges.
I've come to understand how deeply embedded the college is in the community, and you have this sense that this is a place that gives people an accessible education where they get to think about big ideas.
I really started to see the liberal arts especially were being pushed to the side.
Some of the barriers that community college students face is that they feel treated like they are just being trained to be workers, and they're nothing more than that. And what that means is students are doing work that doesn't matter to them so that they can check a box.
So where does Great Questions fit in?
The Great Question Foundation is based on a set of questions that a lot of people have and continue to have and will have across time. What is a good life? What is justice? And so exploring these meta questions, right, philosophical questions. And when we think about education in the face of technology and the evolution of technology, discussion-based approaches that I use in class allows me to create presence. And within that context of presence, there's dialogue that happens. And that's really powerful because I begin to see students actually listen to each other, like what we know as active listening.
I think that this is almost like the remedy for this fear of the mechanization or the further mechanization of life. The liberal arts reminds us that we're human and that being human is a really powerful thing. To use these classical texts to enable students to think through what it is they want, what they think is a good life, what they ought to pursue, if happiness is the ideal they ought to pursue, and if so, well, what is happiness, I think is really important at a young age so that they can choose their careers wisely.
When students actually sit down and read a text, they appreciate the labor that goes into reading the text, but also a sense of accomplishment and pride in understanding something that they maybe perhaps thought that it was difficult or like not for them, and then seeing them like, okay, well, this book is old or classic, but I actually understand it now.
Wow, what I read in Plato, it really like matches my experience, and I'm carrying that with me for the rest of my life. That's the win. That's the win for me, when they can take this stuff outside of the classroom.
And so I think that the work that the Great Questions Foundation is doing is perfectly aligned with what a community college should be doing, treating students as human beings with depth and with great potential. And I've seen when they get the opportunity to do those things, they flourish. It also trickles into curriculum.
I've been teaching for 10 years, and you can get into autopilot. I've been teaching the same book, the same subjects. I'm losing my inspiration. But if I'm not evolving, if I'm not challenging myself, none of that stuff makes it into the classroom.
When I first took the seminar, I took a step back thinking, no, look at these questions again. What are the great questions? And one that hit me is, how do we know what we know? And through reading some of these transformative texts, it gives them the ability to think critically, to think for themselves, which then in turn empowers them to believe in themselves.
The Great Questions Foundation introduced me to scholars all over the nation: California, New York, Florida, Ohio, Texas, red states, blue states, purple states.
All of us, I think, and all the students, when I speak to them and I say, hey, do you want to have a good, flourishing life? Yes. Well, what does it look like? Right? What does a flourishing life look like? And I think that the Great Questions Foundation forces our students to question their own assumptions about that.
What the Great Question Foundation does well is that it asks us to look at something old and something new in comparison and in dialogue, but also with us being at the center, us being the reader, right? Not just me being the teacher, the reader, but also the student, the reader. At that level, it creates a community practice, right? Where dialogue becomes the foci. It's not hierarchical, it's community-based.
I think liberal arts has a very, very important role to play in that.
The Great Questions Foundation has had such an impact on my classes already. And I can definitely see that students are bonding more with each other. They seem a lot more confident, so they're engaging more with the text.
They were showing student success rates. They were showing things that had changed in their classroom in a way that I could then take to an administrator and show them some hard facts, not just my feelings, not just, what I knew to be right, but here's some actual information that they've been tracking, and it's making students more successful.
A lot of students are facing this world where they don't have to see people face to face as much. They are online, they are siloed, they are atomized, right? And so this is one of the few opportunities where they have to sit in a room with people who disagree with them and try to figure it out.
Teaching is something that happens communally, and it's not just something that I, as the professor, tell the students how things work. I want them to learn that they can learn best from each other and best from participating in more of a conversation rather than just absorbing what I have to say.
We don't need artificial intelligence. We need actual intelligence from our students. We need to give them a space to develop their thinking, develop who they are through the process of thinking and communicating with others, learning from others, and learning together.
The Great Questions Foundation gives me a more positive outlook on the future by encouraging students to think about and discuss these great questions and seeing them really come alive. I feel more optimistic not only about my own future as an educator, but about their future as engaged citizens.
There's a substantial, real, tangible result that comes from this program that's undeniable.
So I just think it's very powerful, and I really think that it would be of benefit at every community college. They started working with the Great Questions Foundation and bringing this sort of pedagogy into the class.